Now, just one thing to note really quickly. You could have done the same thing with string addition as well. Okay, so string concatenation, I'm sorry. So you could have said, you could have created a new variable. Let's call it output. Let's call it O for output, okay? O equals, O equals, and then you could have said the product of, right? The product of plus A plus and plus B, I'm sorry, and B plus is plus A times B. Now the problem with this approach is, firstly, this, and then by the way, before I go there, you could then just print O. Okay, it normally, okay, if this were correct, they would produce the same output. But this statement is not correct. Can you see why the statement is not correct? The statement is not correct because I'm trying to concatenate strings with numbers, and that never works, right? So what you have to do is you have to change these into strings using the str function, str, right? So product of STRA and string of A and string of B is is uh is string of A times B. Okay, will this work? Will this work? There is one more thing that's missing, which is, if you run this, by the way, it runs correctly, but it does not look exactly the same. Okay, it does not look exactly the same because you have to add spaces. So right now it says the product of 5 and there is no space, right? So you have to say product of and then a space. 5 and 3, no spaces. So what you want to do is you want to add the spaces in the string literal and plus and then is as well. Is. When you run it now the output is similar to the one we had before. But if you just notice, this is much more complicated, right? It has a lot more steps than just saying the product of comma A comma and comma B comma uh, is comma A times B, right? This is much more complicated. It has more steps. Whereas if you let the print function take care of it for you, let me see if I can go back to that. Yeah. So if you do this, it is much more easier. Okay, it is much more easier to do so. Okay? The same output, but you don't have to take care about converting the numbers into strings, right? You don't have to care about spaces, right? Because the spaces are added by print function itself. Okay, so this is how you'd use the print function to output, to interact with the user, to show your results to the user. Okay,